Hey everyone, you're listening to InfoQuench with Jeff,
and Amy,
a podcast with tips to make your life easier.
covering pop culture, parenting, travel, minimalism, and more.
Hey everybody, and welcome to InfoQuench. In this episode, we are going to be talking about event planning, whatever that may be, right? And by the way, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Amy.
Yeah, we are Jeff and Amy, and you have found our podcast, InfoQuench. We hope you enjoy it.
If you listened to our last episode, we talked a little bit about some shows we've been watching recently on Netflix. And one of the ones that's been really, I guess, in the media spotlight has been Fyre Festival.
Oh my goodness, Fyre Festival. We didn't watch that together, which is really odd because we should have. But I watched it before you, and it blew my mind. I know we talked about it in the previous episode, but if you haven't seen it, check it out because it is such... it's a saga. That's what I would call it.
It's a case study in how not to pull off an event.
And you have a lot of background in event planning. So what were you like watching that show? Were you like absolutely flabbergasted at what you saw? Yeah,
I won't lie. It was a little anxiety inducing watching. You could predict what was going to happen. I don't think there's any spoilers on it. The event was...
I know, it's so hard to talk about shows and movies and programs and stuff that you don't want to spoil it. But anyway, we'll try not to.
Definitely check it out. I mean, I think the documentary is really well done. It's worth a watch. It's entertaining for sure.
It really is.
It did definitely give us some, I guess, inspiration for this episode. And I did spend, I guess, a better part of my career in event planning. Some major events, 20,000 plus people in attendance. So, there's obviously some things that you do for larger crowds, but I think that there's some principles that just apply across the board.
And you were responsible for many of those shows about every single aspect of the show, correct? Like,
Well, we had a full team, obviously, events of that magnitude. Yeah. And I think that's one of the important things is one of the main messages I'd like to say is always, get a little help from your friends. Obviously when you're working in a business, you have a team that works together to look after all aspects of an event. But even if you're doing a personal event, like if your friends want to help,
by all means, let them.
Yeah. Take them up on that offer.
Same as our previous podcast when we were talking about the hospital. If someone wants to help, well, let them because, they want to and it'll help you.
And I think we were talking about how we would focus this particular episode, and there are some concepts that apply to large events, some things that might apply to even small, if you're just doing a little birthday party or a small event at your house. But because it's spring and people have spring fever and there are a lot of weddings coming up, wedding season is on the horizon.
Season, yes.
I think we'll probably talk about some of these tips in the context of weddings because I think that's probably the most applicable this time of year.
And many people know that if something can go wrong at a wedding, it usually does. But it won't if you are prepared and you have this event planned properly, which I have seen you do 1,000 times, hon.
There.
Yeah.
So there. No pressure on. That's a great lead-in. So let's get started with the first thing you need to do is pick a date.
Yeah.
And I mean, that sounds simple enough, but there's a few things you should look at. One of the things is look at what other events are happening around the date. So if you're planning a wedding, don't plan.
I thought you meant pick a date to get married. You got to do that, right?
Well, yes.
I just meant like in the, find out when you're getting married and then you can move on to the event.
Oh, well, I meant, that's the event date is the date you would get married.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we have here is a little loss in translation. But yeah, so what I meant was pick the date of the event, which is also the date, if it's a wedding, that you would get married.
No, I meant get married. Like the event, the time, the date when you would actually get married.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just trying to confuse you now. Sorry.
Well,
continue. It's
working. I'm completely off track.
So are our listeners. You're welcome, everybody. By the way, you can tell by my voice I'm sick. But this is how dedicated I am to this podcast. I'm here.
I really can't tell at all, actually.
Well, I bet you people
just
can
always
tell
sound sick
in my voice. It's a lot deeper.
No, it's it's all good. So in looking at an event date, really, we in the business world, you're looking at competing events because you're sort of I guess going after the same customers. But even if you're planning a wedding or an event for your friends and family, look at like check in with some of your your circle and find out what other events are going on. You don't want to plan your wedding on the date of somebody else's 50th wedding anniversary, or if there's just maybe a major event that's happening locally and you don't want to be competing for venues and things like that, and you know that people will be in attendance at those other events. So just check out what else is happening. Don't just pick the date that works for you and go with it. Do a little bit of research.
I know we had something like that happen just today. Remember? The Area 506 Music Festival here in St. John, which is amazing, held early August every year for the past 3 years. Anyways, that is on the exact same date when we were supposed to go away.
Yes.
And so now people can come and steal all our stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I know that's what you're thinking as I said that.
I know, eh?
You're like, oh boy.
That was one of our tips for when you're going away. Don't tell people when you're going away.
That's right, but I did say early August. I didn't say the exact dates.
Yes.
Anyways, you warned me at the time that, okay, it's at the same time as this festival or whatever. And I'm like, now they know the dates. All they have to do is look up the festival.
I know.
Oh, my
We
goodness.
might have to cancel our vacation, just go to the festival.
We might have to re-record this
And actually,
podcast.
you know what? If you're listening from St. John, they have such a great lineup for Area 506. We might just do that.
We might just skip it altogether.
We are pretty lucky to have
oh, my goodness.
we're pretty lucky to have such an amazing festival coming to our city.
Yeah.
And so we're in St. John, New Brunswick, and Area 506 is a music festival that, they do a mix of local talent, but they also do some really high caliber, headliner.
Mostly Canadian artists, but actually, no, it was just last year that they did all Canadian artists, I do believe.
Okay. So, back to the event date.
Yes, and imagine doing that event, though, 506. Anyways, but continue. I digress.
Yes,
allow,
you do.
Allow yourself to carry on.
So when you're thinking about a date, think about some other things too. Think about, where your venue is going to be. If it's a wedding, think about, have maybe a few different places in mind, just in case the place you want isn't available. Obviously, the further you book in advance, the more likely it is going to be available. But one way that you can save money, and here's the, the cheapskate in me, and we actually were able to take advantage of this for our wedding, is if you're able to do your event on sort of a non-peak period day. So for us, we actually were married on June 30th, but we did it on a year where June 30th fell on a Thursday. So because we're in Canada, the next day, July 1st, is Canada Day, so it was a stat day. So we were able to do an evening wedding on Thursday, June 30th, and got our venue at half price. Because it was a weekday. But essentially, it was like any other weekend evening. Because the next day was a stat holiday, so all of our guests had it off. And it also guaranteed that every year, our wedding anniversary always has a stat holiday afterward. So if we want to go away or we want to celebrate our anniversary, we always have the next day off work. So
you planned it that way, right?
I did.
You did.
I did.
Not only just to save the money on the venue, but to have that, because we took off after we got married, we went straight to Jamaica, and anyways, that was. And shout out to Jay and Dawn. Hello.
Yes,
we met them in Jamaica.
That's right. We were recently back to Jamaica, the first time since our honeymoon, and met some wonderful people there. So when you're looking at dates, consider some non-peak times, and it could be a great way to save money. And it also might be a time when your guests are more likely to be available too to attend. And you know what? An evening wedding is a great way to go.
It really is. I loved our wedding.
I've gone to a lot of weddings that were full day weddings. And no offense to anybody who's had a full day wedding, but it does take your whole day if you are going to a service, and then usually the guests are trying to keep themselves occupied while photos are being taken, and then there's a full on reception, which has a significant cost compared to if you do an evening an evening ceremony. You can do some just stand up hors d'oeuvres, so it's just a lesser expense overall, and it takes up a little bit less time in terms of, your guests' commitment. So
your wedding doesn't have to be expensive to be amazing.
Exactly.
Truly. I mean, remember we picked the Pussy Willows by the roadside.
Well, that was actually one of my tips. Is around.
Sorry.
So when you're
Hopefully I didn't spoil it.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, man.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay.
So, one of my tips is around decor. A lot of people go out and spend a ton of money in the stores and buy plastic decorations and things like that, but consider using nature as part of your decor. It's free, and it's a little bit.
It's fun to go get. We had a blast getting that stuff.
We actually went. We had to go earlier in the season. We got Pussy Willows to. Basically, what we did is we did some calla lilies for our flowers, and we used Pussy Willows to sort of make the arrangements a little larger and a little bit more dramatic. And the Pussy Willows actually held for several months. We picked them up,
and we put
them in our basement and stored them over a few months.
Yeah,
and it was So using nature for your decorations.
It worked really well.
Whatever your ceremony may be, consider using. Just do Pinterest that stuff. Google it up. There's all kinds of great ideas that people have.
Even if you don't use, nature for your decorations, like you could do another thing that we did was the doilies. That was really smart. With the whole, the old school doilies that we pressed as bookmarks and stuff.
Oh yeah. So what we did is we bought some old doilies at a, secondhand thrift store.
Yeah.
And just, so they're just plain lace doilies, but authentic lace.
But really ornamental.
Just wash
doilies.
them up and bleach
possible.
them nice and white, and then we did some sugar starching and cut them up to make bookmarks.
Yes.
And tied some string and some silver charms on them, and it was a great wedding favor.
We kept one.
Yeah, so I didn't even have that on my list to discuss, but that was it was a neat way to do it took a lot of time. Sometimes
it was fun though.
It was a fun thing to do together. And sometimes when you're saving money, you have to exchange money for a bit of time, but that if that time is ends up as a memory, a part of your wedding planning, then
as long as one of us isn't in the room someplace and it looks like a sweatshop, and you're just kind of making them like for hours.
I'm sure we cursed a little bit during the.
It's something that we shared together, honey.
Yes,
it was very nice.
Like Martha Stewart said,
I'll never want to do it again.
It's a good thing. Is that her line? It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I feel like we're having two separate conversations here, but anyways.
Oh, we probably are.
So after you've picked your date.
Yeah.
And you're
get married,
and you've got a venue, and you're meeting with your event planner. Usually, any venue will have somebody who's designated to look after their events, and they'll be your main contact. So make sure you have their email address, have their emergency contact number. Make sure you can get a hold of them, prior to the event, the day of. And always have contact numbers handy so that if you run into any issues, you have somebody that you can get in touch with to get the issue resolved. But one of the things that we did before we even met with the event planners had a great full complete list of questions that we needed answers for, and I actually emailed it to the event planner ahead of time. That gave her a little extra time to prepare the answers to the questions. It made the meeting very efficient. We really, from the time Jeff proposed, I think that I had the entire wedding planned within a week.
Yeah, you were pretty fast. I didn't know what
the wedding wasn't
taking
myself
into.
The wedding, I know, that sounds scary, right? No, but the wedding wasn't for another year, but I knew just from having done a lot of event planning in my work life that you have to plan things well in advance if you want to get the dates you need, and it just makes life a lot easier. It's a lot less stressful if you get it all done.
Yeah.
So we just kind of, within a week, I was able to nail down the venue and just get all the groundwork laid, and then we didn't really have to do anything much until we got much closer to the event.
Yeah. No, it was...
So have that list of questions, ready for the event planner, and you'll want to ask about everything. So you'll want to talk about
lighting.
You want to find out when you can get in to set up, because if you're doing any kind of decorating, you want to, you don't want to find out close to the event that there's another event that's booked just before yours, and that can limit the time.
Late.
Right.
Everybody's looking at their watches waiting for you to get married.
So be clear on when you can get in to set up. Make sure you know when your DJ, or if you have any kind of entertainment, can get in to set up any contracted services. When if you're having deliveries done, flowers, furnishings, audiovisual equipment, when those deliveries can be made. What do they have in terms of electrical? Do they have the power supplies that you need for whatever contractors you have coming in? So again, having a list of questions is going to make the conversation a lot easier. Rules around alcohol. So you don't want to have like a
Right.
tailgate party going out in the parking lot and have that be an issue during your wedding.
Do we
and,
have something like that happen at our wedding? Towards the end, like I think
we had people who I think may have tried to walk out of the facility with their glasses in hand. And
that's what it was. That's what it was.
And I mean, most facilities are going to have some pretty strict rules
Oh,
around
yeah.
that. They
As
have
they
to.
should.
I mean, they, do have to keep their liquor licenses, in good standing. They have to enforce those rules. So just make sure that you're aware of them, and then you can kind of pass any rules or any information along to your guests to avoid any awkward incidents down the road. Make sure you're aware of parking. You want to make sure there's adequate parking. Washrooms, make sure that you know where the washrooms are for your guests. If you're having an outdoor event, things like just having maybe a plan B venue would be an important thing.
Right.
Mother Nature most times will not cooperate.
Super important to have a backup plan for almost every plan.
Yeah. Inside events are obviously an easier way to go. You don't have to worry about the weather. I mean, having the stress of having to watch the weather just before a major event is probably not something you want to have on your plate. So if you can do an indoor event, that's great. If it's an outdoor event, have a backup plan. Tents are ridiculously expensive, so just kind of keep that in mind.
So just buy one. No, I'm joking.
They are literally even thousands of dollars to rent. So.
Really? Wow.
So, have the paperwork, have everything done ahead of time with your event so that there aren't any surprises. And even if they can send you a sample contract ahead of time so that you can read through. So if you have questions around the contract, around the food, there can often be guarantees around food and beverage numbers.
You don't want to end up on Judge Judy.
No. Definitely.
Well,
there's a little bit of fame with that, right?
There is. That'd be fun, actually. She'd probably berate me pretty well.
You'd want to be on the, you want to be on the plaintiff and not the.
Yeah, that's true.
If you're going to go on Judge Judy, but even being aware of what, how soon do you have to tell them the guaranteed numbers for food and beverage? So if you're ordering hors d'oeuvres or if you're ordering plates for your reception, when do you have to give them the, the number of plates that you need available for your event, and do they allow for some overages or underages as far as if you end up having some unexpected guests show up or ones that don't show, are you still going to get charged? Be aware if there's going to be gratuities. So a lot of times they'll quote you a price and then they'll charge you gratuities, which is basically an automatic tip on top of that. So you don't want to be surprised by your end bill. So make sure you read the fine print. Make sure the dates are correct on all the paperwork. Take the time to, while you have the time, to go through the details and make sure that there aren't any surprises.
No one likes surprises when you're getting married.
I mean, if it's a major event, things like first aid, security, those types of questions may be discussions that you also want to have with your event planner.
You know what? We should have had security for our wedding.
Yes.
You're out.
Yeah, we have crazy bunch of friends and family.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
No, it was a good bunch. It was a good event.
It was only 15 that get kicked out or something before we even did our vows.
Coat check. Ask about coat check. Make sure that you're not surprised around what's supplied as far as table linens and serving utensils. Find out how many staff are going to be on hand at the venue. Will there be support staff there to help you if you run into an issue and you need some extra chairs set up? All of those things are just important to have up front. And then you need to think about your guests and passing on information to your guests prior to the event. So one of the things, we do with major events is just, give information out to people who are registering, if they're going to a concert or any type of,
You need to have a reliable way in which to get that information to people.
Right. So even if
Whether
it's setting up a
email
Facebook
chain
page,
or something, Facebook page,
and make sure people know where the venue is. Make sure they're aware what time they should arrive. If there's parking directions you want to give them. If it's an outdoor event, you think they need bug spray, tell them that.
Oh, yeah.
All of those things can be helpful, right? Anything
Umbrellas.
you can think of. Facebook pages are
Who's
great.
planning the weddings now?
Yeah, umbrellas, ponchos.
Bring garbage bags in case you run out of ponchos.
Class it up.
Class it up.
Facebook pages are a great a great way to basically keep all the information for your event in one place, communicate it out to everybody who's attending. And also it's a great way for people to share photos after the event. So if people are taking a bunch of pictures, they can share them on that Facebook group for the event, and then everybody has access to them, and it's a really great communication tool.
It is, and when we got married, we had one of those fancy photo booths with all the props and stuff, and that wasn't really widely done when we got married, I don't think. But it was great to see the photos of everybody, at the wedding and stuff. I thought that was a fun way to share things on social media too.
It definitely made for some really cool photos. I think it's become more commonplace now, but yeah, I think we were leading the pack when we.
Well, yeah, I wasn't meaning to try to come off that way, but we probably were.
So. This is a little bit of an aside as far as event tips go, but this goes for we recently did a birthday party for our son Hux, and rather than having like a full-on cake, and this will work for weddings too, consider serving cupcakes. So if you have any kind of event, anniversary party, or anything where you're serving cake, consider cupcakes, because you don't have to worry about all the utensils, the cutting. Cupcakes they're just easier to serve, and if
people
you're doing,
can walk around with them a lot easier and
they
have
can.
a plate.
They don't have to worry about forks.
Yeah.
They're smaller servings. If they want to have two, they can. And you can shove candles in a couple if you. So
basically,
you really
while you can get away with it, definitely go with cupcakes, because eventually the child will get a little too old and they'll be the one, I want the cakes with all the candles and the expensive parts.
That's right.
That's right.
Cheap out while you still can,
That's
friends. Right. That's the most important tip. If you're doing anything with gifts or any kind of, I guess weddings specifically is what I still have in mind, but make sure you have a secure place for the gifts and the cards. Nowadays, a lot of people are giving cards with money or gift cards in them. So having a place where they can stash the cards, and I hate to think about it, I've heard of horror stories where people have run away with the basket of
the whole
cards,
basket of money,
which is actually really smart.
Oh, it's
there's
smart.
a bonus tip for the thieves out there. If you're looking to rip people off, just scope out some local weddings.
Don't do it.
Hang out near the door,
funny.
See where they're putting the envelopes, and
imagine if that was your thing and you made it onto like the news, and it's like, this guy's been going to all these weddings.
What would your nickname be?
Like the card caper.
That was a really good on the spot nickname.
Oh, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, the card caper. I like that, actually. You could actually do it with a cape on and stuff, and just make it a thing, make it your thing.
Yeah, it's just that's pure evil.
That's what I do. I ruin people's weddings.
So yes, secure place for your cards, a secure place for your gifts, and designate somebody to look after your gifts. If it's your wedding, or if you're having an anniversary party and you expect there'll be a lot of gifts there, just again, family members want to help. Ask one of them if they'll look after trucking your gifts to a safe spot, because you're probably not opening them at the wedding. You're probably opening them the next day. A lot of people do like a little brunch the next day.
Yeah, it's a real bummer to have to have 4 carloads of gifts that you have to move in before you consummate the wedding. I mean, come on, who wants talk about a non-starter.
And what a hard life we live, eh? How are we going to deal with all these presents?
I know. We sound very privileged, and we are very privileged.
Yeah, anybody's getting gifts is privileged.
Mm-hmm.
Also designate somebody to look after payments. So you don't want to be, sitting there in your wedding gown and having a DJ coming up asking for their payment, during the reception.
Take care of all that before or after.
Have the communication ahead of time. Know when the deposits need to be paid. Know when the final payment needs to be made. How it can be made, and have someone you trust. Hopefully you trust most of the people who are in attendance at your wedding or close family event, but
who knows?
But maybe set up a family member with the checks and the envelopes, and let them take care of all the business stuff, so you can really just enjoy your party.
Yeah, it is very important to enjoy your own wedding. I would highly recommend that, because if you don't, well, there's a missed opportunity.
I think that's probably one of the most important things I'd like to say around events. And I mean, some events are more personal than others. But if it is your wedding, take the time to enjoy it. It is your day. It's a day to remember. Do the planning well in advance. Again, take advantage of anybody who wants to help. Take them up on that offer. And then when the day comes, relax. Know that you did the legwork to get everything laid out. And, there's going to be bumps in the road. It's inevitable. I've done
those are fun, though, sometimes.
Oh, they make the best stories.
I know, they really do.
I've done so many events, and I've really encountered just about anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Murphy's Law.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really how you deal with it, how you react to it. And
I have to say that I'm fascinated that, how great you are at, organizing events, because I can barely even get a group together on Facebook. I can barely even get the right date. You know how bad I am at that. Oh, yeah, it's next Saturday, and it actually is Friday or something.
Of 2020 or something.
I don't get the year wrong. Not often. Well, yeah, okay. But I know I really, though, like, I just, my brain does not work that way. If you want me to, like, I don't know, do something different, artistic or something, I could do that, but I can't do this analytical, scheduling thing.
Anyway. But, I think most couples are that way, that there's somebody who has strengths in one area, somebody who has strengths in another, and you play up each other's strengths. And
it's like you plan the wedding, and I'll see you at the bar every once in a while.
you plan the music.
Yeah, that's right. I did. I was in charge of the DJ, and that's the only thing you gave me. And I was like, wow, thank you.
No, well, I don't think
I helped
it was
with
the
the
only
doilies.
thing. We went out in the woods and got the pussy willows together.
I helped with the doilies too.
And the doilies, yeah.
And the music.
We made the bookmarks together.
And we've picked out the food together.
One of the great things we did with the music too is I think we asked for, we got a good playlist going ahead of time. So
we merged. That's right. We merged our music with the music that the DJ would play.
Right. So that's another thing. Have a conversation with your DJ. You do not want to be surprised with, you know, I know Heart of Rock and Roll. Is that the... What are some of the wedding classics?
The
Macarena.
Those old records off the shelf. No, well, yeah, actually, I think we did play that.
You're going to have the chicken dance. You're going to have the wedding classics, but make sure that you talk to the DJ and have your favorites played too, because you don't want to, go the whole night listening to crap.
And
ain't nobody got time for that.
If you're going to break dance at your wedding, just practice beforehand. That's all I have to say. Oh, man.
You did some great break dancing.
I was pretty looped, but it was fun. I remember it perfectly.
So that's what we got to say about event planning. If you're having a wedding this upcoming season, good luck to you.
Good luck to you.
Good luck to you.
Good luck to you.
No, but
God bless you.
God bless your heart. No, it'll be, enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
We gave you some tips, and
hopefully some of them were helpful, Hopefully you got to the end,
Yeah, hopefully you're still listening.
Hopefully you're still listening.
If you're still listening right now, then you're still listening right now.
Yeah.
And you've heard this.
Thanks for that, because you honor us by still listening to our voices after 27 minutes or whatever it's been. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Be sure to visit InfoQuench.com to subscribe and catch up on past episodes.
You can also check out InfoQuench on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Till next time.